Day 15, 100-day, 10 minutes a day taco sticking challenge. I've been absent for a few days. I've been a bit sick and really busy, so it's been a bit of a survival mode. Instead of catching up and trying to put 3 videos out, a lot of people are sort of falling behind a little bit anyway. So maybe I'll be a little bit kinder to myself and for you guys as well. So maybe I'll just put videos up when, as much as I can, and we'll still practice 100 days worth. So there's been a lot of videos by Ivan or Ivan. I don't know exactly how to say it. I'm sorry. And that's been great, really, really great. And sort of I had a day to sort of digest those instead of just sort of critiquing the video one by one. So he's put on. If you haven't looked in the group, there's a lot of videos of him doing all the different things. Sort of the double things and single and double alternating stuff, and trying to do the double pivot. Now, there's a lot of little critiques I can critique, of course. Having a cleaner pivot, and trying to get the ulnar and radius to turn while you do the double pivot. If that's not turning, then it's not actually double pivot, because if you're doing just having this to the back, it's still not really what I'm trying to talk about, which is the turning, and all those little things. But I think the root cause of all these things, or I don't even know what I don't want to be sort of negative about it, but I think a lot of taiko groups or taiko students, especially beginners, have this tendency to, because we were very much taught in that sort of triangle front triple grip thing. Maybe it's not related, but either way, it's a lot of people are doing sort of this kind of movement, and some of it I think is also related to the height of the drum head. So I think a lot of taiko heights that you buy off the shelf are great for Asian heights like me, or a little bit smaller for Japanese people. But I see a lot of drum heights in the West, and tall people having to play really high, and they can't reach to the bottom, and there's a height issue. It's just playing too high, and you end up doing weird things. But I think the root cause is still how you hold, how this is engaged up here, and sort of this kind of extending motion when you go down from the front. Yep. So this being pulled upwards. So if you instead of this and this single pivot coming down, you can see I'm just doing single pivot. So this, see what's happening here? That's sort of pulling forward and upwards, versus just coming down. Really stupid with my single pivot. Just coming down. Versus so you can see when you're doing that, I'm exaggerating, of course, because I know you're trying to do a single pivot like this, Ivan, but you can see that's being engaged when you're in that kind of position of engaging that front bit. So what I think is actually happening, if you touch your bicep, tricep, when you're doing that kind of motion, if you touch a bicep, because it's pulling forward and upwards, because when you want to pull forward, this is engaged, even if you're trying to do a single pivot, that's engaged, you can feel it, and the tricep is also, if you feel the back, because it's trying to go down, that's also engaged a little bit to the back. So the back tricep, that area, you can feel it's engaged, and this is sort of pulling upwards, also engaged. So you got this and that both engaged. Now, I don't want to be saying that's wrong. I think that could be fine with certain taiko schools and so forth. But what I'm trying to teach specifically is that is not engaged at all. You lift when you're lifting, it's engaged. When you're coming down, I don't know. You can see that if you can touch that if you're not engaged. How little that is happening when you lift up, it's engaged. I can feel it, and then when you let go, I'm literally letting go against gravity. Yeah, I'm using the rotator cuff. So all this really, I can't really feel much engagement even in the tricep. It's mainly in the rotator cuff coming down, and then you're just using that clean pivot. So I see in the slow motion, you're still a lot of the power comes from that and that being engaged a little bit, but definitely this you can see in the video with Ivan or Ivan that very clearly this sort of radial muscles are being. Can you see that I'm doing that on purpose? That little bit is engaged, even though you're trying to do a little bit. I could see you're trying to do very hard the pivot, the single pivot in the back, but that's being engaged. That's being engaged. What I'm trying to teach is this. Can you see that's not engaged? That's not engaged. That's not engaged. There's very little engagement. It's just from the rotator cuff coming down. I think it's more efficient, and I don't know if you can see it or hear it. But if you play, you can hear it, you can feel it. It's just way easier versus sort of this kind of engagement. So you gotta learn how to turn that off, and even that off. You're using just your back, and then that just transfers some energy. Yep. And really, I'm not asking you to extend. I'm hopping through the basics again, but it is very important. And thanks again for the videos, and other people, please show the videos. We're learning together. Okay, my left hand has gotten so much better in these few videos. If you watch day 1 and day 14, you can look at my left hand has improved by explaining all this stuff. So you don't want to be tight here and also here. They're both. So if you want to do your doubles, it should be. So look at how far down my elbow is pulling down the. So the key thing is I get RSI doing that for years, and I can see that. I'm exaggerating. All this gets really tight. You're engaging this, and if you're hitting really hard, this bounce back comes through here, and it really hurts, and mainly shoulders. So if you do this, see how far down the elbow is pulling down the shoulders. It's very relaxed, and I think more powerful and more efficient. That's what I'm trying to teach. So try that and be very conscious of that. Make sure your pivot point is very, very close to your surface. Yeah, so not here, because if you're too far from the surface, see what happens is that gets engaged because of the. Not necessarily you can do it, but it's harder. It's a lot harder just to do this than that, because this is not engaged and it's falling down. So pulling your elbow down and pulling your elbow and your shoulder down helps it not be engaged at all. I don't know whether you can see, but yeah, and then everything should make easier sense than that. This is just a single pivot. Maybe I'm going too fast, and then when I noticed one thing with Ivan or Ivan, when he was lifting with alternating double and single pivots, the lifting hand was much better with the back pivot. So maybe the speed of it being a lift and then disengaging coming down is what you need to do. So this I've learned from many different applications of different musical instruments. You know, with picking, guitar, and so on. You need to, if you want speed, or if you want kit drumming as well. If you want speed, you got to learn how to do alternating muscles when you're going up and down, up and down, up and down. You know, da, 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 da. So the up is the rotator cuff lifting, and down is really relaxed. Yeah, and you want this to come down, and so that's the key. So stop doing this. Again, empty your cup. I know a lot of taiko groups do this. Sort of. Again, I'm exaggerating, but this front V, holding the three fingers, and engaging these muscles. Yeah. So I'm sharing my ideas. Try them out. Make sure it's nice and straight down, straight down, straight down, straight down, straight down. So if you're not doing that, and if you're not doing the pivot with the radius and ulna, so try maybe even just being really stupid and just turning the radius and ulna, just to be able to feel that motion for that. Okay? So with the double pivot, you've got to really start really slow. But first off, disengage those, get your single pivot, nice and relaxed. If that is the only thing you can take away for the 100 days, great.